Welcome everybody to today's video. I thought that I would talk about a subject that actually came to my mind last night. I was reading something or watching something, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it made me think about how babies' eating habits, and their sleeping habits can change. And when that happens, a lot of times moms will think that there's something wrong and that the baby's not getting enough milk, or that mom is, her milk supply has declined. And so I thought it would be a good subject. I'm still trying to come up with a title for it because I feel like I want it to be searchable, and I'm not really sure if, what would be the best title for it so that it's easily found under, that concern. And I don't know, because with the change of sleeping or eating, a mom automatically can think there's a milk supply issue, or the baby's not latching correctly, whatever it might be. So she might tend to look for that kind of a video versus a video that's just about normal changes of a baby. So first of all, I just want to say that the normal range for a baby to eat, we're going to start with that, for a baby to eat is anywhere between 1 to 3 hours. This is the normal where typically a doctor will not tell you that you have to worry about how often they're eating. As long as they're eating at least every 3 hours, usually it's not a big concern, because that's 8 times a day, and that's pretty average. Now, a baby who is premature or a baby who is larger in weight may eat more often than that. A baby who doesn't get a good transfer for whatever reason could eat more often than that, or just it's just every baby's different. It just depends on how quickly the milk goes through their system and how quickly their body uses everything. And with breast milk, the body uses everything. There's not really anything left over that the body doesn't use. So it typically goes through the baby's body in 90 minutes or an hour and a half. So that's why anywhere between 1 hour and 3 hours is normal. So you could have a baby who typically eats every 3 hours, but then maybe they have a little stretch of period where they'll eat every hour and a half, and then they might have the longer 3-hour stretch. Or maybe they'll even do a 4 or 5 hour stretch, but they're eating every hour and a half for another part of the day. So basically, we're trying to get away from every so many hours and more like how many times a day, because it's normal, and the baby should eat anywhere between 8 times a day up to 12 times a day. So, we just want to look for more of the signs the baby is getting enough rather than how much the baby is eating, like how often they're eating, because these things can change. And when they change, we tend to think something's wrong. So for instance, let's say you're having a baby who at the hospital, when you brought him home the first couple weeks, the first month, the first 2 months, first 3 months even, they're eating every 2 to 3 hours. Just on average, it's every 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes in the very beginning, you might have a baby who eats every 4 hours. This is going a little bit too long. But if there's a time of the day where they're eating a little more often than that, then that kind of makes up for the entire 24 hours being every 4 hours. Because that means they're only getting 6 times a day, and that's pretty low for a newborn. Like, we want them to get a little bit more. But if they're transferring a lot, if they're gaining well, and they're satisfied and their diaper output is good, then again, I wouldn't be overly worried, but I would be watchful. And just kind of like, sometimes it's good to just actually make count, like put a little mark down every time they feed, because sometimes you might miss one and they're feeding a little more often than that. So it is very normal for a baby to be on a specific pattern, and then for that pattern to change all of a sudden. So let's say the baby's feeding let's just say the baby's feeding every 3 hours. And you get to the 3-month mark, and all of a sudden, the baby wants to eat every hour and a half. They're not sleeping for any long stretch, so they're eating every hour and a half, and maybe they're sleeping for an hour of that, or 45 minutes of that, but they're not sleeping as well. Again, we want to go back to diaper output and weight gain. If those things are both good, then them changing is just that. It's just they're waking up more, they're less sleepy, they're growing, so their need for food will change. As they're growing, as the brain develops, as, the body develops, it's going to need a different amount of food. If the baby's sick, this can affect how often they feed. So the changing, and this can happen typically every couple of weeks. It could change from every 2 hours to every 3. And then all of a sudden they're sleeping 4 to 5 stretches at night for a good period of time. And then all of a sudden now they're up every 2 hours at night. This can happen all the way up till 8, 9, 10, 11 months. Now, typically the first 6 months, if this is happening, we would call it a growth spurt. We would call it maybe they're teething. It could be just that they are now increasing the milks and they're going to eat more often. So I think the biggest message to get across is when the changes happen, when the eating pattern changes, the only thing you need to worry about, the only thing you need to look for is the baby still gaining weight well, and is the baby going through diapers well? If the baby's going through plenty of diapers, which is 6 or more diapers a day, at least 2 to 3 of those stool, which do slow down as the baby gets older, because about 6 weeks of age, they can start to form their own bowel schedule, so it's not typically every time they feed. It could be once a day or twice a day. It could be once every 2 days, and you can kind of look at your husband or spouse or mate or whoever, what your pattern is, and if you're typically a person who goes once a day, and then the other thing is sometimes a medication can cause constipation. If they get any type of supplement, it can cause constipation. Something that you eat could cause some constipation. So it can happen, every so often, but it is normal for their bowels to change and to slow down the older they get. And this can start as early as 6 weeks. So I think I just wanted to really put out there the message that when the schedule changes, the way that they eat, so when they change from every 2 hours to every 1 hour, or when they change from every 4 hours to every 2 hours, or 2 hours to 4 hours, but it just seems to be a bigger deal when they go from 3 to 4 hours down to 1 to 2. When this happens, it really has nothing to do, not necessarily, it doesn't have anything to do with your milk. It could just be simply the baby is more awake now, they're going through a growth spurt, they're growing, they're developing, whatever, or they're going to be their new pattern for a little while. So, like I said, just look for the signs of a baby that's growing and a baby that is thriving. And as long as your baby has those signs, then you do not need to worry that something is wrong with your milk supply. Because again, that's like the number one thing. If a baby's been eating every 4 hours, all of a sudden they want to eat every 2, and they're very whiny and they're up more, moms tend to think they don't have enough milk and the baby's hungry. And it doesn't help when they get a supplement like formula and then they sleep for 3 or 4 hours, because the formula, being that full, sedates them a little bit. It makes them tired. So just something that I really wanted to put a video out for. I think it's a big concern, and I've just been hearing a lot about it, and it came to my mind yesterday that I want to do a video on it. So I hope that this answers, you know, somebody's question out there. And if you have an idea of a better title than what I'll put out there, just to make it more searchable for a mom who is concerned, let me know in the comments below, because that will help me to make sure, you know, if I have to change it a little bit to help reach those moms, you know, I can do that. So again, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That will alert you to the new videos that I put out. The notification bell that's next to that subscribe button, if you click that, that will send you an email or a notification on your computer every time I put out a video, just so that you keep up to date with them. And feel free to pass, you know, the information on to friends and family that you know that are breastfeeding. Again, you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in my next video.